Hello everybody, welcome back to Tabletop Trolls. In this episode we are going to talk about meeting a newish character. The character that we are meeting is actually Morokeii. He is my character from the Dragonlight campaign. This right here is the Mythindel map of the Dragonlight campaign made by Matt, our DM. The town that we started in was the little Wormmire down there on the bottom right hand corner, just above the name of Mythindel. So this episode we're just going over Morokeii, my inspiration for making him and why, his background, his stats, all that stuff. So without further adu, I introduce you to Morokeii Kriv. So Morokeii is age 20. He comes from a small little town. It's a very sheltered community, so everyone knows everyone. Morokeii has the background of the folk hero, and the way I was using that and incorporating that into the backstory of Morokeii was he was wanting to do something more with his life, so he joined up with the Paladins. He went to a religious order, took an oath of the way of the ancients, and he started training in his combat because he wanted to be a really good fighter and protector of the town. That was what he was striving for. So Morokeii was in this academics school with the rest of his group and his religious order, but Morokeii really struggled with his academics. He was a very solid fighter and would practice all the time with his mentor, Kriv. And they were working together so much in the fighting that Morokeii actually picked up his last name when his mentor had passed away. So after his mentor had passed away, Morokeii started struggling a lot with his academic side of things too. It wasn't... He kept up with his combat, but he was just falling behind it academically. And the reason for this is because Morokeii doesn't know how to read. So it was very hard for him to keep up in his schooling, but he was an amazing fighter. So when his mentor Kriv had passed away, Kriv had given him his Roman gladius, essentially, is what the sword would look like. It was a very well decorated one, ivory handle, very nice weight to it, very nice Damascus gladius. So I made this little minifigure up to kind of show it a little bit. So he's got the little gladius short sword and a shield that he would have been carrying, as well as the look of Morokeii, as best as I could get him. So Morokeii might be a gold dragon, but he is a electric type. So I'll explain that later. So as he was struggling with his academics, he was, a little bit falling away from the actual paladins in the group, in the academic wise, and he started becoming a protector of the town. So essentially what he was doing was stopping wolf attacks, stopping bandit attacks, helping people around all town, and that is how he achieved the title of folk hero in his own town. So Morokeii would eventually want to venture out of his town. He got to this high status, but he was wanting something more. He wanted to do more around the world, help more people. So that's why he went out, and he started doing little adventures here and there, traveling to another town. Well, eventually he got a strange amulet in the mail, and he was told to wear this amulet around wherever you go. So he put the amulet on and he continued his travel. He couldn't read the note, so he had someone else read it to him. So eventually he met up to where he needed to be and met up with the current gang that he's with. So the gang that he is with, I shouldn't really call it a gang, the group that he is with is a bunch of ragtag people trying to become the best that they can in a guild. So Morokeii was accepted into this guild, and he is trying his darndest to not let anyone else know that he cannot read. That is like one of my goals for this campaign, is don't let anybody read. So I am confidently illiterate in this campaign. So pretty much what that means is I could get a piece of paper that has very clear written out instructions on it of common, or it could be draconic, and I would take the piece of paper, pretend I'm reading it, and then essentially tell them what I think it would mean. So it could be a simple letter as, hey, meet me at this bar down the road. And I would go, guys, I really think this is a letter that someone is asking for help, and I think we should go to the king with this. Essentially, I think it's the king asking for us, or something crazy like that. Just really weird things, and I'd crumple up the piece of paper or burn it or just get rid of it so no one else could see it, making it really difficult to move on sometimes. But it's a very funny thing for me. So we do a little bit of that back and forth. So yeah, that's a little bit about Morokei's background. How I play him is a little bit on the duller side of things, because he is mostly strength and frontline based when we're in combat too. So speaking of combat, we are going to go into his stats right now. So Morokeii Kriv is a paladin right now, a dragonborn. He is of gold color, but that does not reflect his breath weapon. In our campaigns, when someone chooses a dragonborn, I don't really see that the color of the scales really matters that much, as long as one part of you shows a color of that damage type. So I'm an electric dragon, but as you saw in the first little picture of Morokeii, I had blue eyes showing that I was a lightning dragon, and a little bit of blue on my clothing. So that's kind of how we have been doing it. I really don't mind or care whatever breath weapon people use in my campaign or what you look like, as long as you're having fun. So I am a gold dragon that is electric based. I have the full hero background and the chaotic good alignment. So how I'm playing him is, with the chaotic good, is I'm trying to help as many people as I can. The problem with that being is I don't exactly know if they're good or not. So one of the first things I did in this campaign was a guy came into the bar and tried to rob the place, and I was like, well, let's come outside and I might be able to help you financially. And so I walked these 3 guys out of the bar with a handful of the people that I had just met, and I had started talking to them, and I was like, so what do you need the money for? And it's like, well, because we need the money. I was like, all right, so I'll give you some money as long as you tell me that you're gonna do no harm to anybody. And it's like, well, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna continue to be evil and rampage. And he said it straight to their face, so he hears that evil, he hears that bad, like they're not gonna want to do anything because they're just meanies. And he was like, well, that's upsetting. And so I charged up my breath weapon and I just fried the dude's face off. So he doesn't really know the pure difference. He was raised in such a sheltered community that he doesn't really know the pure difference between good and evil. He just kind of does what he believes is right. As the Oath of the Ancients says, it believes in good above all else, even above the law. So that's how I'm playing that. Unfortunately, he doesn't know the difference between good and evil. He always sees the good people first. So the stats that we got here, we are level 3 currently. So as you can see in the top right corner, well, hopefully you can see. It's a crappy picture and my handwriting is atrocious, so I apologize for that. So we'll start off with strength 22. Now the way we get our stats is we roll by them for the 5d6. There's the standard array, the 4d6, or the point buy, and we opt for a 5d6 instead. So that's why you see most of these stats absolutely cranked, because the highest you can get is a 24 and the lowest you can get is a 4 or a 5. No, 4. So I got a strength of 22. The +6 for the weapon handling is pretty nice. Next up we got the dexterity of a +15. or 15 for score plus 2 for the modifier. I didn't want to make him too dexterous, so I wanted to put more skills and other things. As you can see, the next couple of scores here are all a little bit weirder as well. So I really just wanted to kind of get him up there a little bit more with the AC, put it in a position that I could take another point in that section and in the wisdom section, because the wisdom section is also an odd number, but we'll get down there. So I wanted to put that odd number down there so I could get that up to a 3 to have a little bit more armor eventually. Next up is Constitution. The reason I had to jack my Constitution up so high, otherwise I would have put that in the Charisma, was I am only one of 2 frontline characters in this campaign out of 9 players. So I have a little bit of healing that I can put on my Barbarian that's next to me or myself. So I needed to have a little bit more health while I'm way up in the front. Pretty much 2v whatever we're facing, because we're the only ones that are martial, and if they have any spell resistances, well, I guess we do also have rogues, but they'll help out a little bit. The intelligence being the 1 for the modifier bonus being a 12. That one was to reflect how I don't know the difference between good and evil and my unfortunate ability not to read. Inability to read, I should say. Next up is Wisdom. I usually like to put a little bit higher stuff in Wisdom, but I was a little bit falling short on that because I had a 12 and a 15 as well. So I put a 17 there, and I like to have my Wisdom a little bit higher because of the perception, the insight, the medicine, all that stuff is what I usually go towards for the skills that I go for, because you don't want to not be blind in this. You gotta be able to see stuff. No one likes to be able to have the one that's, can't really perceive stuff, so you're always out of the loop. And then Charisma base. Now this is the one that I would have put the 22 in had there been another heavier duty character on this campaign as well. But the Charisma had to be high because Paladins are Charisma based spellcasters. And eventually I wanted to multi-class into Bard, so it just made sense to absolutely crank it up. And again, it would have been higher if I had another person on the front line tanking damage. So I said that I wanted to multi-class into Bard. So the way Morokeii is actually doing that is he has a interest in musical instruments, and he has a squire that joined him on the journey along with the rest of the group. That they play together. He's pretty much adopted this kid. He found him on the streets, so he picked him up and ended up, they play instruments together, they fight, they train together, that kind of thing. So just a father-son kind of thing for Morokeii to have. So eventually when I pull into Bard, I do have a bunch of the stuff and the plans made out for that, but we're not quite there yet. So the way I like to have my abilities set up here, I put them all on a dock and I just print them off and I put them in my binder because I'm still that hard copy guy. So right here you see all of the stuff that we're going to be shooting for. This is up to level 10 of Paladin, so Aura of Courage, Aura of Warding, and Aura of Protection are all level 10, I believe, for the archetype of the Oath of the Ancients, or the subclass of Oath of the Ancients, excuse me. So up top I have my dragon stuff. Now this page is just a reminder of the skills that I have because they're right next to my sheet. I do have another one that has abilities and spells on it that actually gives me more of a description of the spells that I have, but this is just all of the paladin abilities and stuff like that. So I really like setting up my binder to be efficient when we're playing combat, because I hate nothing more than being in combat for a long period of time and my turn taking up a lot. So that's a little bit about Morokeii. I'm really excited to get other people on the show and talk about their characters for 15-20 minute episodes for you guys. If there's any characters that you want me to try to make, or things that I should try for future campaigns, drop them in the comments below. I will happily record me making my character with the background with it. That is something that I'm interested in doing on this channel, so you're going to see that in the future at some point. Thank you everybody for sitting down, making it to this. Cole, if you're watching, this is your homework. You're going to have to comment, "I love my brother." I know you won't, but that's your homework. And shout out to Aaron, because I have to shout out Aaron on every episode that I do. So thanks all you trolls for sitting here watching with me, and we will catch you on the next one. Again, this has been Tabletop Trolls. I am Thomas. Have a good day.